Let's talk about TMJ pain. My whole career, I've treated TMJ pain and have always had a good amount of success treating the condition. And I was always kind of uneasy with this success because I just assumed I was seeing the easy cases and the dentists were seeing the more complicated cases, and they were doing their dental treatments to fix bites and so forth, and that's where the complicated cases ended up. About a year and a half ago, though, I was asked to speak to a local dental association, and in doing so, I learned from them that they don't get a lot of training on how to treat the TMJ in dental school. They don't learn the mechanics of the joint. They don't learn the muscles or the anatomy really around the joint. If anything, they get a lot about clenching and mouth guards and so forth, but they don't really do a lot for the joint. Some dentists will do Botox and other things like that, but for the most part, dentists aren't treating the jaw. When dentists do treat TMJ problems, their focus is on the occlusion. That's the alignment and the how the teeth come together. My experience, the occlusion is one component, but it's a very minor component of what it takes to fix a TMJ problem. The other side of that coin is what we call the functional side, how the muscles around the jaw, the head, the face, the neck, how those all work together and impact the joint. And that's the approach that we take. So why would a chiropractor be focused on the TMJ? Well, because it is a joint, just like the joints of the neck, the elbow, the foot, whatever, they need to move. They need to have muscles that move them properly. They need certain ranges of motion. They need certain flexibility. And if those things are altered, then the jaw's not going to work as it should. The cool thing about the jaw, and why I think the functional approach is more effective than taking a structural or an occlusion-based approach, is that the teeth are rarely touching. If you think about it, unless you're clenching, your teeth aren't touching. If we're at rest, our teeth should be apart. If we're chewing even, there's going to be food between our teeth. So the fact that the teeth might not come together perfectly, that's a relatively minor component of what causes a problem in the TMJ. And that's where the functional model is really good, is because we want to know how is the joint moving, what are the muscles around the joint doing, and even how does the joints and the muscles of the neck impact the jaw. One of the pioneers in my field says that about half of neck pain cases actually come from dysfunction in the orofacial region, the neck, the head, the face, the jaw, how all those muscles come together can really have an impact on the neck. So if somebody's struggling with neck pain that's just not getting better, the solution could be coming from dysfunction in and around the jaw and the face. So what precisely do we do when it comes to TMJ pain? The first step is always a good evaluation. We want to see if we can classify the type of pain. In general, there's two different classifications. There's pain coming from within the joint, and then there's pain coming from outside the joint. If the pain's coming from inside the joint, there's several sources of where that could be, but one of the most common areas has to do with the disc inside the TMJ. The TMJ is neat in that it has an intra-articular disc, and that disc is very important to the overall mechanics of the joint. In general, again, that disc can get stuck in 3 different places. If the disc gets stuck in front of the joint, you're gonna have a hard time fully opening your mouth. These people, they can't take a big bite of food. They struggle to open fully for, say, a dental examination. And when they do, either they'll have a hard block of movement where they can't get past that, or there'll be a big clunk that might be painful or loud or annoying or whatever, but that big pop and that restricted range of motion is usually coming from the disc being in a forward position inside the joint. Alternatively, that disc can be inside or medial in the inside of the joint, which can limit the side to side movement of the jaw. So if you find that you can't push your chin as far one way than the other, that can be impacting the overall movement of the joint, and that might be from that disc having gone medially. Less common, much less common luckily, is that that disc can also get stuck behind the joint, and when that happens, you can't fully close your mouth. I've seen this range from the mouth being stuck open, which is very painful and very disconcerting because you can't close your mouth, you can't eat, you can't, drink and swallow well even. That can be very problematic. or to a lesser extent, you can just have a hard time approximating your back molars where you can't fully chew. It hurts to close down, and that's also disconcerting, but much less bothersome than that jaw being locked open. But if you have a hard time fully opening, fully closing, or moving your jaw side to side, very often that's coming from the disc itself. Alternatively, you can have a problem with the overall movement of the joint where you are having an asymmetry from side to side. So the jaw is unique because it's the only joint in the body that has to move symmetrically on each side at the same time. If you don't have that, the chin and the jaw is going to shift one way or the other, and that's going to impact the mechanics of the joint. It's going to cause pain, and it can lead to wear and tear and pain and problems down the road. And lastly, the jaw has to follow a very kind of unique path in order for the mouth to fully open. And if that doesn't happen, that can also cause wear on the joint, cause pain, and sometimes just fixing that opening pattern can have a large impact on how the jaw feels and functions. Now, one of the more straightforward causes of TMJ pain is when the pain is actually coming from outside the joint itself. Usually that's coming from some of the chewing muscles. So there's the temporalis on the side, the masseter on the side of the cheek, and if those muscles are being either overutilized from clenching or chewing gum or other oral habits, that can cause a lot of tension and trigger points in those muscles, and that can contribute to headache pain, jaw pain, ear pain, even pain in the sinuses with these muscles getting fired up and being painful. So if that's the cause of the pain, then we have to look further out from those muscles to see why are you clenching, why are you tight, what's happening with the way that you're breathing, your posture, your neck, your shoulders. All these other areas can impact what's happening around the head and face and contribute to pain. So if you're local, we'd love to help you with your TMJ pain. It's something that we really enjoy treating. It's become a big part of our practice, and it's very gratifying to help people with things that cause them pain with such basic activities as speaking, eating, sleeping. When you're having pain with those activities, it's very hard to be yourself. If you're not ready to dive into something like that yet, I wrote a book on treating your own TMJ pain. It's available on Amazon. You'll see a link around this video to that book here if you want to check that out. Or if you contact us, I'll get you the first couple chapters of that book so you can check it out here. But no matter how we can help you with TMJ pain, we'd love to do that. So just get in touch with us today.